Good morning. Welcome to AsyncAPI community meeting. Please remember that this meeting, for a transparency reasons with the rest of the community, it's being recorded and will be uploaded to YouTube right after, or a few hours after this meeting. And this way we start with first topic. So you remember last like 2 weeks ago during last meeting, I was talking about this new approach for meeting scheduling, the whole automation that we're doing. So that's the last meeting that is not live streamed. So it's the last community meeting where that is organized with the old flow, where we just record it, but then we upload it. The next meeting in 2 weeks, it will be live streamed, but you will still be able, of course, to join through Zoom. But yeah, it's just going to be available exactly right after the meeting as a live stream on YouTube and other platforms. So yeah, it's if it comes to the introduction. So yeah, before we jump into agenda items, even though there are no agenda items, like, is there anyone here for the first time? Would you like to introduce yourself to the community, say something? That's the best moment to do it now. I mean, you're welcome to unmute and say something if you want, of course. You don't have to.
Okay, hello everyone. Hello Lukasz, and yeah, I'm just new in here. As you can see, I'm interested in Google Season of Docs program with the AsyncAPI, and my name is Muhammad Rafi. You can call me Muhammad. I'm from Indonesia. So yeah, nice to meet you, everyone. Thank you.
Nice meeting you. Are you the guy that already met Alejandra and did the mentoring session with her? Do I recall it correct?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So yeah, welcome. Great having you. Anyone else would like to add something? Anyone or anybody? Okay, so again, I have one topic I'd like to discuss, the conference topic, but yeah, first things first, like the community first. So does anyone have any specific topic you'd like to discuss or you'd like to ask about? You can ask about anything. So I guess that some people are here to ask about more details for Google Summer of Docs, but if not, then it's fine. But yeah, anyway, not Summer of Docs, Season of Docs. Yeah. So yeah, anyone, any questions? It feels like Monday. Okay, so there's just one topic from my side. Last time I mentioned the conference, AsyncAPI conference. So let me link you to a discussion. We basically have a discussion about where to organize the conference, because last year during the online conference, we had a survey with our community and majority of people opted in for a hybrid approach for the conference for 2022, which means have it still available online, but also in person. So the community can also meet face to face. And so far, it still looks like we want to do it in Europe. And we're just having a discussion on what is the best location for Europe. And during last meeting, I discouraged us from using from doing it in my country. So because I live in Poland and it's too close to the war in Ukraine. So yeah, looking on the news on what's happening to the tourism here, it's better not to organize it in countries that are close to the conflict, because it may affect community. Like many people may choose not to come because of the war. And in the discussion, there are topics that, like, it might be south of it might be organized in the south of Europe, basically, and southwest, which is, I think that the most liked idea is still Canary Island. So yeah, I just wanted to highlight, send you a link if you want to join the discussion. Please do it. We might, I'm like, so what do you think? Like, should we just follow the emotions on the comments and then just go ahead with Canary Island, let's say, because we anyway communicated clearly that we have this discussion so people could join? Or do you think, like, in such topics we should do some votings and engage wider community? Or should we at least maybe just narrow some, like, just pick some ideas and then just have a voting focused on some specific ideas? What do you think? What's your opinion, folks?
I think we have to first, I mean, I would really like to have this on Canary Island, to be honest. I love that place. And I guess most of us will too. The point is that we have to evaluate how difficult it is to reach Canary Island from other countries, you know. The same for any other candidate or other city, you know, like how difficult it is to get by plane, you know, because it might be a super nice place, but if people cannot go there, or it's super expensive because they have to pick up like 2 planes or whatever. I think this is the most critical part, in my opinion, for choosing, like, whatever we choose. Of course, good cities will be there, like with good weather, blah, 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 blah. That's easy to get. But the point is how to get into those cities. And I think we have to, maybe we can, for whatever city we propose or whatever place we propose, to build up like some demo of flying from Poland, for example, flying from outside Europe, flying from, I don't know, Africa, flying from the US, flying from, I don't know, something like this, and see how much it costs or how difficult it is. Maybe we can get
really
an idea.
This is the sort of thing we do need to consider, which is the accessibility of everyone getting here or wherever it is. The Canary Islands is indeed beautiful, warm, and wonderful. Trust me, I'd like to go. But it very much does come down to, if we rule out everyone in Singapore because it just happens to cost £1 million to get there, you know, it's not really fair. Also the same way as there are some airports which are so easy to get to, but no one wants to go. So a balance needs to be struck somewhere.
Yeah. Okay. Makes sense, definitely. But then we should do a kind of survey then with the community, like because last year we did really simple survey about, like, if people really want to be to join in person or not. So maybe we should actually do another survey, like promoted a lot on our social media, to ask community, like, if we organize an event in person, tell us if you join, and then if you join, where you're coming from, etc., etc. Because like I understand the idea of estimating like how difficult it might be to go to Canary Islands. So for example, from Poland, it's easy. It's just we do fly there often. I mean, I know people fly there, so there's just one flight. But it's hard to estimate. Like, should we assess, for example, people coming in from Argentina? Do we know if there's anyone actually planning to come? So what I'm thinking about, maybe we should actually do some. Not sure how it's called professionally, but a kind of survey like of interest, like who's interested. You know what I mean? What I'm trying to say.
Doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah, because some time ago I was thinking like it's the most crucial decision. Like we actually a few weeks ago I was thinking like we can't even go further with conference organization because like we don't even know where it's gonna happen and when. But is it actually a kind of blocking decision? Like we can actually already start working on a website. We can actually already start working on prospectus, on figuring out the sponsor tiers, etc. Like we can do all these things, even though we don't know the location yet, right? I mean, in the website, we can just say it's going to be in Europe and in between this and this dates, but it's going to happen for sure. And then in the meantime, we can spend a bit more time on having a decision where exactly it should happen. So like, what do you think? Which one makes sense? Like when I'm thinking it's blocking decision or it's not blocking decision actually? How do you look at these things? Like when you choose a conference, is it important for you to know exactly where and when it happens, or this knowledge can come later? Because sometimes I guess it's especially when I was working on for corporation and we had budget to travel, one of the most crucial decisions to make was like, where is it? If it's in a city that I've been before, or maybe some new location. So yeah, let's choose this conference.
There's a famous thing about from back in the days of academia, where the biggest draw of studying astrophysics was the fact that most of the telescopes and therefore conferences were in Hawaii. I'm not kidding. It was a huge, huge draw when you literally got to go to Hawaii twice a year. You got a faculty position for exactly that reason. However, this is the sort of thing where we have a lot of corporate sponsors. We probably should reach out and say, hey, we want to make this accessible. Would anyone donate to a fund to make sure we can make this accessible? Because it'd be great to be able to sponsor tickets to people who can't otherwise make it. Most corporates would just pay for a place if it's not ridiculous. As long as we're not flying people to the Galapagos, we could probably most of us who are corporately backed make it, I think.
No.
So
I guess
I'm also just of the opinion that like safety comes first, as you mentioned, Lukasz already. So it's whoever's got the least corona restrictions, which makes sense, has the easiest accessible, is not on red lists, etc. Once that list is sort of sorted, I think then we can get down to the details. But it's kind of like from 200 countries, we need to get down to the 10 or so shortlists before it's really worth making the rest of the criteria.
So actually, that's one of the most important questions on the questionnaire will be like, if you plan to come, are you coming as an individual, or you're basically sponsored by your company if it comes to travels? Yeah, makes a lot of sense. Okay, so I'm gonna start right after this meeting. I'm gonna start another discussion to discuss the exact questions we should have in the questionnaire, and let's do it. So folks, just remember that whenever we're having discussions on a conference and you want to follow, I'm going to share you a link. There's a dedicated category. So every discussion should be categorized with this category, so it's easy to find. Okay. And last question from my side, if it comes to the conference, do you think it would make sense to have a dedicated call, like a regular meeting every week, let's say, just focused on conference organization? Because I was always thinking like this community meeting is enough, but also like from last year, my learnings is that sometimes it might make sense to have a meeting just about a given subject, because it's also much easier to invite people, like, because they know that they will join only for this specific topic, and it might make it easier to organize work, review tasks, see what has to be done, and get volunteers to help. So what do you think?
I think it makes sense.
Considering we have when we're actually just attending a conference as a corporate, we have a weekly meeting about the conference for the first 4 weeks ahead of the conference just to attend. I think it would be a good idea to separate out, also to make, because of the conference itself versus, let's say, the details of the specification aren't really, they are related but not the same, and it will basically either co-opt one or the other.
Yeah.
I only have a concern about this. I like the idea. There is one pro and con on the same thing. So you are targeting the right target, right, on this meeting. At the same time, I'm not sure if people will join. Like, for example, would you join, Ben, the call, or I don't know, Ace? You know what I mean? It's like,
I would happily join that. Actually, I would be more likely to join the one at the conference than this, simply because I feel I have a better input. Like I have a better input to that one. This one I like reading the notes to and listening to. So I listen along to most of the recordings, but I do not always have, like, the conference thing, I have a stronger input, I believe, because organized stuff to conferences. Whereas the spec stuff, I'm bought into understanding what happens next, but at the moment I don't have much to contribute. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, so anyway, it means after this meeting, I'm gonna create another discussion, also under the same link. So to discuss, like, to see interest in the meeting and already get a suggestions, like when we should organize it, what days and what hours, if we all want to have it.
Oh, last query about this. Because we are very international by default, the way space apps, if you're familiar with the NASA kind of conference / hackathon works, is effectively there are like delegate bases in various cities around the world. But the idea is that because it's impossible to co-locate everybody, there's often a main event and some satellite events connected. Let's say we could easily put effectively it's much smaller, but watch party / live access room somewhere in Singapore, if the rest of it happens to be in New York, allowing that, let's say, people in the region at least to gather at a lower key level, but at least be part of something. There are options around this kind of stuff which do exist, also from my days with the G20 Entrepreneurial Association. We did things similar to this to basically allow people in countries who couldn't easily reach venues to basically be part of an event, still funded, still with some level of conference immunities, and we even managed to get Swag out to them.
But do you mean like a kind of meetup or?
Yeah, so fundamentally, let's say we had the main event in Frankfurt because it's easy to get to, big airport, right? And 70% of people get there, but we also put a satellite event in, I don't know, Singapore or let's say Argentina, somewhere where a more local hub to the region it's actually in. And what you end up doing then is you basically have, maybe only 10 or 20 people actually are able to be present there. However, the advantage then is that 10, 20 or 30 people have a very strong buy-in, because you get the advantage that, one, they can basically be dialed in on a big screen, they can still sit down together, enjoy the talks because they're all streamed remotely anyway, but also because it's still a chance to meet up in person. It's just lower key, but still, it's better than nothing. I'm happy to raise this more at a follow-up meeting because it's very much a
it's actually a very interesting idea.
It's a model I've seen work really well in the past, even pre-pandemic. Specifically pre-pandemic.
So can you, as I will create 2 other discussions, can you create already a separate discussion in community repo to highlight this idea? Because I think
it's just an issue, isn't it? Create a new issue.
Yeah, it's a new discussion actually, but yeah, it's like an issue.
Cool.
And because I know that we have, like, as you said, like the community AsyncAPI has, it's like across the world. So might be that there are people in specific locations that would be interested, and we could even think on finding a budget to actually organize some room for that. Would be interesting.
It also it keeps it really international as well, which I really like.
In fact, could become like part of sponsorships. Like one sponsor that has offices in that place could be like become a sponsor just by organizing this, maybe, or
Yeah.
I think it's a really good idea.
Sounds good. Okay, cool. Any other comments if it comes to the conference? Okay, cool. So I already told you about meetings. I told you about the conference. So if anyone joined the meeting because of Google Season of Docs and has some questions about it, I can't really give you much answers because the Google Summer of Season of Docs, it's coordinated by Alejandra. But I can tell you definitely to join. There's a Slack channel. Let me copy the name of the channel. This is the name of the channel. It's a temporary channel that we created to basically coordinate and the setup of the whole mentorship for Google Season of Docs. And yeah, just join there, ask your questions there. For now, we have 2 projects there and budget for these 2 projects. In one of them, I'm also a mentor with Alejandra because I also have some technical writing background. But if there's anyone who like, especially like because it's Google Season of Docs, and you might say it's just documentation, but actually it's not only like one of the projects is to rework documentation for the AsyncAPI generator. So actually it's not just about mentorship of how to approach writing documentation, but sometimes you might need to have a mentor, a technical mentor, to explain you some things about the tool that you're gonna document. So my question to mentors, like potential mentors, if anybody on the call or watching the recording is maintainer and would like to help in technical interviews with between the technical expert and the tech writer, then just join this channel as well, please. Any questions?
I can be the mentor for the CLI docs rework, right?
Oh yeah, perfect. Thank you. So yeah. One of the things, as far as I remember, is exactly the CLI thingy. I think we already learned over a few PRs that we don't update docs, and this stuff has to be automated and integrated with the website. So thank you, Sovik. Okay, so last from my side, just an update, because again, I talked about it 2 weeks ago. Long story short, we applied also for Google's Summer of Code. We were not accepted, to not say we were rejected. And instead, we came up with the idea of having our own AsyncAPI mentorship that we sponsor from through our budget that comes from the sponsors. And yeah, the situation now is that 3 days ago, I summarized all the ideas about the mentorship, how it's supposed to work, and submitted it for technical steering committee voting. So this is a link to my comment where I pinged technical steering committee. And so far we're getting only yes answers, even not only from technical steering committee members, but the community as well, which is great. So far so good. If you're interested with the program, have a look there. Because in my previous comments, I was always writing in text, block of text, which was pretty hard to follow, I guess. So I created a kind of timeline so you can see what deadlines are there. So we basically wait until the end of this week for voting of the technical steering committee. And so far, it looks like, of course, there will be an agreement from the TSC. So yeah, have a look on the timeline there. Okay, so now it's really all the topics that I had on my list. Any questions? Any other topics? You sure? Because next time we're gonna meet, it's gonna be in 2 weeks. Okay, 3.
I have one thing.
You made it. Okay. What's up?
It's something that we discussed on Slack recently about giving updates on areas on AsyncAPI. Like, for example, I do I usually do a weekly update about the spec and parsers area, where I include some the work we are doing in some of them of the repositories on AsyncAPI organization, GitHub organization. But also there are other people like Barbaño here, Jonas, that are making their own status on other areas. Recently, Jonas created a pull request for a blog post with some updates on the tooling area. And well, for context, we were creating those updates in our own, so it's completely outside of like any official or umbrella of AsyncAPI. And for example, in my case, I created them in GitHub Gist. I know some others, like I think Missy is using Notion, whatever. The point is that Jonas created a pull request for publishing a blog post about some of the tooling updates. And I really like the idea. And I think it would be worth to evaluate the idea of having more kind of official updates to the community or turning all of those into something more readable and deliverable. Because I was, for example, talking with a community member like 5 minutes ago. He told me, I have been like 2 or 3 weeks out of any technology and things because family stuff, and I need now to catch up. And I didn't really know where to reference him. Like, you can check out my GIS and then maybe check out Jonas one, Barbaño. But I kind of miss something more official, like something that can be consumed by in the website, for example. My question is, would it make sense to turn all those things into deliverables like blog post, or even have a new section on the website? I don't know, with weekly or monthly updates.
But isn't it what Jonas wants to achieve with the blog, to actually consolidate the updates? Or
I don't think so, no?
It is, but it's only tooling side. Like, I hadn't really thought about the rest of the areas.
yeah, but majority is actually tooling, right?
Mhm. But
Because because I'm still
Sergio is
doing
asking.
my updates, like I started writing the update on other areas, let's say. But then a few months ago, I stopped writing about tools because there was just too much of it. So that's why I, for example, like the idea that Jonas did, that there's a blog post dedicated to new things about tooling. So wouldn't it, or I'm missing something?
Yeah, for example, there are other areas that are missing, right? Like what changes or what is happening in the spec. This is not included in Jonas' tooling update, or what's happening in I don't know, whatever other area, design, events, education. I don't know what's happening on there, right? People might want to get these updates as well, and maybe they don't know where to get it.
So just to clarify, did you see maybe the draft that I created that for the blog post that I'm writing? So you basically mean that such a blog post you'd like to have more often than once a 3 months?
I would say yes.
Yeah, that's definitely gonna be difficult. So I switched my frequency of the blog posts basically because of the amount of things that happen around. So that's why I switched now to every 3 months update. But if that's missing, then let's
Maybe not. Maybe it's not missing, and we are over informing. Maybe the work I'm doing by myself because I thought it was cool to do it and useful. Maybe it's not needed. Maybe we can ask the community for how often they want those updates. Maybe from a contributor point of view, maybe they want it more often. From a consumer or user, maybe 3 months is okay. I don't know. Maybe it's worth to do a survey or open a discussion. I can do it.
Don't know. I mean, so when I started doing updates 2 years ago, it was every 2 weeks. Then I started doing it after a year. I started doing it every month. Now I switched to every 3 months. And to be honest, I haven't have a single feedback saying like I should do it more often, or that they are missing the update. I know that there are regularly people reading those, and I still see value in them, even if only 50 people read them, because there might be, these people might be some strategists or someone who needs these updates, and it's still worth providing. But what I'm just trying to say is that, like, so far nobody ever expressed anything openly about the updates. So let's try with the discussion, as you said. We might try to share it with the community on different channels and see what they think.
Okay.
But I personally, I know that, like, I dropped tooling. I definitely dropped tooling updates, major updates on tooling in my status updates. So I totally like the idea of having a separate block where the whole community of maintainers can actually push their tooling updates into one single article. Yeah. So you're gonna create the discussion after the call. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So once you do it, please send me a link. So I'm gonna update it and put it in the meeting notes.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, folks, any other questions, comments? Okay, looks like that's it. Monday almost finished. Thanks a lot for joining. And yeah, see you in 2 weeks. And as I said at the beginning, next meeting will be live streamed, as all the other meetings, new meetings at AsyncAPI. Everything will be always live streamed and available right after the meeting. But we, of course, still meet on Zoom. Have a good day.